I met with the founder in his attorney's office, one of those lavish Sand Hill Road offices of lawyers that have done remarkable work bringing all sorts of startups to fruition. And in that conference room, we're having this conversation, trying to help my client develop a stronger pitch. Now, for years, I have relied upon and taught the work of Chris Lipp in his book, The Startup Pitch, and his model is very straightforward. There is a problem, got to have a solution for it. You got to prove there is a market for it, and then that there is a business model that will capture that market willing to pay for that solution to that problem. I've taught, written about, enjoyed using Chris's model for many years now. But as we tried to fit this AI startup founder's innovative solution into the problem market solution model, it just didn't fit because there were so many possible problems they could solve that ultimately there were none. And one of the other advisors who was participating in this said, I think we should be using the approach Mike Maples talks about all the time. I was stopped cold. I mean, I had heard of Mike Maples. I knew his family had made some really generous donations to Stanford, like Maples Pavilion that I had seen games in, but I didn't know his approach. And so very quickly in that conversation, I was schooled. And then for the last several weeks, I have devoured the work of Mike Maples and his approach to guiding startups that are truly innovative in his book Pattern Breakers. And so in this short video today, I'm not going to cover everything that's in this book, but I just want to guide you, especially if you're a founder with a truly innovative idea, to explore the work that Mike and his co-author Peter Zabelman have created. In essence, pattern breakers not only think differently, but they also act differently. These are the founders who are truly starting new entities, new firms, new ideas that are far enough into the future that if we look at them from our present mindset, we can't really embrace them and may even scratch our heads a little bit in order to be able to understand them. It's about living from a future and embracing problems that have not yet arisen, and to be able to communicate them not from a problem solution point of view, but from a visionary opportunity point of view. His continual case studies, they're going to be common names to you: Airbnb, Lyft, Uber, Twitter, now called X, all created something so radical that it couldn't compare to anything existing that was out there. I'm going to imagine, much like Federal Express in the 1970s, created something that was unheard of before, having a package delivered overnight. Or Ford in the early 1900s. The saying attributed to Henry Ford: if I would have asked consumers what they've wanted, they would have said a faster horse, because there was no frame of reference to think of automobiles or overnight delivery or having somebody stay in strangers' homes or ride in strangers' cars. And yet all of those are commonplace to us. They are for us the status quo now. So I reached back out to my friend Chris Lipp and I said, Chris, you said when you wrote your book, The Startup Pitch, that based on several years of TechCrunch winners, 93% of the winners of TechCrunch had used a problem market solution business model. What do you think about items that entities, startups that are truly innovative that don't fit the problem solution mindset? And Chris pointed me to an article that I had also missed, that he'd written in Forbes just late last year, where he talked about the three distinctions of an entrepreneur who's truly innovative, who is doing something, not an incremental better mousetrap than what other people have done, but something that truly is pattern breaking, groundbreaking. And what Chris said is, these innovators, these founders, harness market forces, not user problems. seize the market, not just customers, and sell the future, not the company. So this is truly an example of an old dog learning new tricks, as I have learned about other ways to work with founders on creating innovative, powerful, compelling, and ultimately effective pitches. I am delighted about this new work that I have begun to read and begun to understand. So in the links to today's newsletter, you will see the Forbes article by Chris Lipp. You will see the book and the podcast that Mike Maples and his co-author Peter Zabelman have. And this is not the end of this conversation on communication matters, but this is the beginning of a conversation. I'm not abandoning how I teach founders to pitch, but in the past several weeks, I've exponentially expanded the toolkit of frameworks and resources that I can guide them to communicate with greater mastery. I'd love to hear how you're using this. Drop a comment in the chat. Let me know what you think, and let's keep this conversation about pitching with greater mastery alive in the Substack newsletter. Thanks so much for watching today. Lots of other great stuff in this newsletter, and you'll see me again in a couple of weeks. Take good care.